Hello everybody, Lord Almighty here. Today is Saturday, October 24th, 2020, and I'm here at the Raritan River in search of fall smallmouth bass. Water is definitely cooling off. I can feel the cool water through my waders today, and hopefully that is a signal for these smallmouths to start feeding heavily. Leaves are going to be a problem today, I can tell just by looking at the river. But if there are some hefty smallmouths in between those leaves, I think I'm willing to put up with it. Gonna start out by throwing around the Kitech on the jig head. Just gonna slow roll that along the bottom and see if there are any active fish around. There we go. Look at that, first cast. And there we go. Nice chunky little fall smallmouth, maybe 3/4 of a pound. Boy, he inhaled that. Well, that's either a sign that I'm in for a fantastic day, or that's the first cast curse. We'll just have to see how it plays out. That sun is starting to poke through the clouds. That's exactly what I didn't want to happen today. I don't think I've seen the sun in a week. And now's a heck of a time for it to start coming out when I'm trying to get on a smallmouth bite, especially since this water is so low and clear. And here we go. Gonna be catching a lot of those today. Well guys, I am starting to believe in curses. I just worked through what I think is the best looking hole in this entire stretch, where we've got a creek coming in and we've got a log jam, and not so much as a tap from anything other than the errant flora that is drifting downriver. So who knows, we might be in for a tough day, especially given my track record on this river in October, which is not good. See a couple of nice smallies right there. Maybe 2.5 pounds. A couple of big carp too. Well guys, I've seen a ton of carp milling around in this hole, but I've also seen a few smallmouths mixed in. They're ignoring the Kitech though. So I switched over to the Ned rig, and I'm gonna see if the smaller, slower presentation will garner any bites. Oh, fish on. Little guy. Ah, it's a little red breast sunfish. I could stick him on a hook and drift him for some of the big smallies I saw in that deep hole, but not in the mood. Well, the smallmouths in that deep hole did not want to play, so I left that behind, and since I can't go any further downstream, I am just going to work back up through the stretch I fished before, and I'm going to toss the Ned rig around. It'll be interesting to see how these fish respond to the Ned rig versus how they responded to the swim bait, which was less than enthusiastic. Oh, fish on. How about that? I fished fished past this log jam with the swim bait, not a touch. I tossed the Ned rig in there, and this guy loaded up on it. He's not real big, but he's something. All right. There we go. Nice little chunky guy, fattening up for winter. Well, I worked back up to where I started with the Ned rig and got no other bites. And my confidence in this spot is flagging. So I think I am going to pull up stumps and try another spot. So sit tight and I will see you in a couple of seconds. All right, everybody, here we are at spot number 2. I've actually only ever fished this place one other time, so I don't have a lot of experience here. But I have a buddy who fishes this place regularly, and he says he does pretty well here, so I decided to give this one a shot. So if I don't catch anything, he's on notice, and I'm blaming him. Switch back to this swim bait because I just want to cover some water, which is not really doable with the Ned rig. Ooh, that felt like a bump. Ooh, that was definitely something in that same spot. It was either really small or it's a fish with a penchant for hitting lightly. Oh man, something keeps bumping it out there. Unless I'm hitting it off a rock or something, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like a fish is bumping it. Man, wish I knew what was down there. Got him that time. Boy, he hit it so light. Little smallmouth. I don't know if this is the same fish that hit it 4 or 5 times. There might be more out there. But at least I got one of them. Huh. Well, maybe that little smallmouth was the only fish out here. 'Cause since I caught him, I have gotten no other bites out here. So I'll start moving downstream, but I might hit this spot again, just to make sure. Whew, man, tell you what, the leaves here are a lot worse than they were at the other spot. So, gonna have to dodge some leaves if I want to hook up on some fish here. That's always easier said than done. Boy, the leaves are making this spot nearly unfishable. I'm hooking a leaf on just about every cast. It's going to be real tough to figure out how to dodge them, but we'll see. We'll see what we can put together. I'd hate to give up on this spot just because of the leaves. Well guys, downstream the leaves were a nightmare. I just couldn't deal. So I turned around and now I'm starting to head back upstream. This is about the spot where I initially started. And the leaves here are not quite as bad. So maybe I can salvage something out of this spot. Also, the wind has really kicked up from earlier today. I don't know what that's going to mean for fishing, but it's just another wild card thrown into the mix, I guess. Welcome to fall fishing in New Jersey. Oh, there we go. Boy, that was a super light hit. That's not a super light bass, though. That's a decent fish. right. Wow, that's in the tough part of the mouth. All right, another chunky fall smallmouth. I was worried. It's been a hot minute since my last bite, but looks like there's still some fish around. Oh, there we go. Another one. It's only been about 2 minutes since that last one. Not a giant, but he's decent. Alright, let's pull you up here. Alright. Wow, this is a fatty. Look at how thick that fish is. All right, they are feeding up for sure. Well guys, I've worked a pretty decent ways upstream, and since I don't have a ton of daylight left and I got a long walk back to the car, I'm gonna go ahead and do an about face right now, and I'm gonna fish back to where I came in with this little bitsy bug jig, and I'm gonna see if I can pick up maybe a couple of bonus fish, see if there's any that wouldn't have hit the swim bait that would go for this jig. Well, no action on the jig, so that is going to be a wrap. Wasn't a bad day of fishing. Wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I wound up with maybe half a dozen fish. But I worked for them today. The fish were spread out and had to do a lot of walking. Not just wading the river, but the 2 spots I fished are kind of out of the way. It's not like you can just park in the parking spot and you're right on the river. There's some walking involved. And I'm glad I was able to overcome the first cast curse and catch a few additional fish to make all that walking worth it. And now it's time for the slog back to my car. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next adventure.